They create content, but authors sometimes is a responsibility. A responsibility to give shape to what you've created is also a leap of faith to go outside and expose yourself to people, because when people read your work, your heart rate's about to miss a pulse.
Hey guys, welcome to Seekho. Seekho is a video first micro learning based community. With Seekho, you can learn just about anything you want in a minute. So, today with us, we have Mr. Ankit Jhamb. He has a great career journey in consultancies and in the authorship. So, Mr. Ankit, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure, Sadi. Thank you. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. To all the viewers, all friends out there who have taken out time to look at this, I'm Ankit Jhamb, 𝐀𝐻𝐨𝐿. I work with an organization by the name of KPMG as a senior associate director. I look after learning and development practice. Our job primarily is to help people become better versions of themselves. That's the first part of my life. The second part of my life is I write books. I'm an author. I've written about 7 books in all. Two of them have been published. The third one supposed to come out in the month of September. I mostly write in the space of positive psychology, but it's story based. And that's the second part. The third part is I look after, or I'm the founder of an NGO called as 𝐀𝐻𝐨, where we try and help underprivileged sections of society. We've been doing that for the past now 5 years. Our objective is to provide food, ration, stationery, education support, and sometimes calamity crisis management. For example, we ran COVID helpline. That's the third part of my life, and yeah, that's it.
It's so great having you.
Thank you.
You have
Thank you.
such a dynamic journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
So, moving on with the discussion round, there's a quick rapid fire round. Would you like to take it?
So,
Okay.
well, I'm a little nervous,
So,
but I'll give my best shot.
no, it's not going to be like that. Okay.
Sure,
So,
go
moving
ahead.
on,
Shoot.
asked to write another book that will be published nationally addressing the youth. What would you write for them?
I'll write for them how to create meaning and fulfillment out of life.
Okay. Okay. Then, what career advice would you have given to your younger self?
Be focused, slow, and improve on the craft.
Okay, insightful. Okay. Asked to interview a famous personality in a corporate world, who would you choose and why?
Ratan Tata, very inspiring, very balanced, has contributed to the society, takes care of his people, lives by the values of his organization. Fantastic guy.
That's amazing. He's one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what was your toughest interview that you remember cracking in your career so far?
Yeah, I think I remember that. In the year 2010-11, I was interviewing for an organization, can't name the organization, large player in 90 ES sector. They were running a captive unit, and I had to go through some 9 rounds because I was doing a career transition. So there were about 3 interviews, one case study, one presentation, 9 rounds, and I had to keep up to the pressure. And I took it was like playing a test match and went on for about 2 to 3 months. And yeah, 9 rounds can be tough. So it was very challenging.
Okay, that's great. Okay. The next big thing planned in your career ahead.
The next big thing planned is, as of now, the next book next month. That's number one from a launch point of view. And the next big thing is, I think I might start writing my 8th book sometime soon. I have the story. I just have to do the research, put the storyboard together, and that's the next big thing for me.
It's great that you have everything planned. Okay, so that was the end of the rapid fire round, and it was really fun and insightful as well.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. I
so
hope I'll
moving
do
on,
well.
let's start. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Moving on, let's start with the discussion round.
Sure.
Okay. So, as advice for people who are striving to grow and flourish in the authorship, given your successful experience in a book, like as a book author, what advice would you give?
So, I think the advice which I'd like to give people who are either trying to write, become an author, get their work published is it's very important to write with discipline. So, get into the habit of writing. So, you got to take those 30, 45 minutes every day, like a discipline, like a physical workout, and make sure that you improve on the craft. Number one. Number two, remember progress over perfection, which means that you don't get it right the first time. So you have to continue to write, and you don't get obsessed with perfection in the first go. The first job is to get the manuscript out. It's like vomiting, is what I tell people, that it's inside you, it needs to come out. That's the only way. Once it's out, you can always spend the rest of your life making it better. So progress over perfection. The third piece is uh, think about understanding your work as a business as well. Some people write a lot. Some people do lack the business acumen. Ultimately, your work's supposed to get published. Ultimately, it needs to go out. It needs to get into the supply chain in hands of the readers. So don't make the mistake of only being creatively brilliant. Have a business acumen so that you can knock the few doors, make network, speak to people, and get the book out there in the hands. That's it.
Okay, that was very informative, and I believe many, many young writers will look up to you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, what are the different horizontals on which writers can explore and acquire exposure in the world of writing?
See, typically people write in all forms of spheres or aspects of life, but you got to ask yourself that what is it that you know best. Like, for example, I can talk about myself. For the large part of my life, I write psychology and spirituality. I got to a point where I thought that, now that I've read, I practiced psychology. We talk about therapies and counselings. We understand mental health. What next? And that's when the book part happened. That's where the inspiration came from. So you got to ask yourself that what is it that you've been reading? What is it that comes closer to your heart? It could be fiction. It could be storytelling. It could just be economics. It could be global politics. Whatever it is, whatever you're reading, whatever you become in terms of intellectual world, that's your core competence. Never try and write something which is the in thing. Never try and write something which is there because of fashion or somebody else is writing. No, you got to ask yourself what's your core. Play to the strength, your core competence. You might not have one. You might think that I haven't lived a lot of life to have a core competence. It's fine. So go read, develop competence, dig deeper, but select something. I know some people write about accountancy, some people want to write about tax publication, some people want to write about economics, startups, raising funds, whatever it is. Basis your limited understanding, go for it, but make sure that it's closer to your heart, it ties up to your value system. You can stand by the content and the decision to write. Never copy, never fake it, never emulate something which you think is successful because it's being sold. No, it doesn't work like that. There's always a market for everything. You just have to make sure that your heart, mind, body, spirit, and soul, it's all aligned when you write. That's it.
Okay, you might have given us the magic mantra. Okay, so like people say there's a fine
Yeah.
line that separates authors from writers. So, according to you, what determines that sliver of line and how can one grow in each one of them?
Fantastic question. I think writers are those who write only. They might write on social media, they might blog, they might write a diary, they create content. But authors sometimes is a responsibility. A responsibility to give shape to what you've created is also a leap of faith to go outside and expose yourself to people, because when people read your work, your heart rate's about to miss a pulse. So it's a responsibility, and it's a recurring responsibility to generate meaningful content which can help people. I might be wrong in getting the definition, but that's for me. I know a lot of people who write, but their work doesn't reaches the masses because maybe they don't intend to. I know a lot of people who write better than me, who have the gift of the gab. The grammar is excellent, their English is better than me. But the fact is that they're not out there. And the world needs more inspiring content. The world needs more positive, constructive narrative and perspective. So that's what an author does. It's a responsibility where you balance your creative writing pursuit with a sense of meaning and a higher purpose which you owe towards the society.
Okay, so that was pretty much the gist of it, and
Yeah.
dug deeper, it was very insightful. Okay, so can you elaborate about your journey so far and some of the biggest learnings you had by being a part of the consulting domain?
So I've had my career is about 15 years. I started with the love to train people, the love of psychology, did consulting, and then now cut to 2021. I'm I'm responsible for leading the learning infrastructure. I look at uh, the sexual harassment cases. I'm part of the investigation committee, and some part of the life goes into coaching managers, senior managers, and leaders. So it's been a fantastic 15 years journey. In largely out of this 15 years, 10 years have been in the consulting space, 10 to 12 years. And some of the learnings I've had is number one, relationships matter. Sometimes you have to invest intentionally, but not with a selfish motive into relationships. People who you worked in 2010, 2006, and 7, 2008, they will remember you. I try and tell people that career is like climbing a mountain top. While you are going on the top, some people are coming down, and there is going to be a time when you will be coming down and you will meet some people who are going on to the top. So while you build relationship, you build network, you help people, you stay there for people, and you reach the top someday, which is designation, title, responsibilities. You're bound to come down, you're bound to retire. Everyone does. These are the relationships which will support you, relationships which will stand by you, sometimes give you work, give you better jobs. So building relationships is very important. Number one, that's been my learning. Number two is your ability, your knowledge of your own subject is extremely important. There is too much half-baked information out there. People who claim themselves to be subject matter experts, but the fact of the matter is that you need to know your craft well. If my craft is psychology, applied behavior sciences, learning and development, I gotta know that well, and I gotta know that better than anybody else. It's not a competitive space, but it's an introspective space. Is your knowledge better than the last year? Are you aware of your knowledge gaps? Are you aware what part of the job or knowledge you're not very comfortable with? So get the subject matter right. Specifically for in consulting, it's a knowledge-based, intellectual-based organization. It's a space where the man is the product and the brain is the service. As simple as that. So your knowledge base about what's happening around in your subject, in your field is very important. That's the second. Third lesson I've learned is the lesson of becoming emotionally resilient. It's a place which demands, it's a place which expects. You have to think, you have to be nimble and agile. Hence, you have to sometimes go through pressure and stress. So people who manage their emotions and feelings well, they do well because they think well. Sometimes you choke under pressure, choke under stress, and that's where the struggle starts. So my advice to people in summary is focus on relationships, become a good subject matter expert, and develop emotional intelligence.
Okay, so just invest yourself and be mentally respected to that field. You'll get
That's right.
everything you want. Okay. So, what does a work life synergy look like among working in the consulting industry?
I'm glad, Siddhi, we are calling the word work-life balance as work-life synergy, because work-life balance has become I- at least to me, it's a redundant place. Work-life synergy. Now, if you really read that sentence right, synergy means that 2 plus 2 is not equal to 4; it's equal to 5. So, which means work and life is supposed to create something bigger, better for people, which means in terms of happiness, pleasure, fulfillment, meaning. And that's what synergy is. If your work and life put together is not amounting to you becoming happier, not amounting to a narrative where you feel fulfilled, you're contributing to yourself, to people, communities, then there's a problem. And there is every reason to believe that generations we have right now, they're trying to long for a purpose. They're trying to hunt for a meaning in their work. And that's what work life synergy is supposed to offer. And the other part of synergy is that, are you spending time with family? Are the emotional needs of family taken care? It's only when you have a happy place at home, you end up creating a happy place at work. And that's my personal belief, and I stand by it. I mean, if you're not personally happy for whatever reason, you will be unable to offer that peace of mind, that comfort to people. And sometimes, comforts, there is sometimes when the boat at home would rock, the office would take care of you, and vice versa. So for the synergy to happen, you need to have one boat giving you the comfort at one point of time. And more often than not, if it's the personal boat which is more stable, it's better. If it's not, you can't hold yourself responsible for that. But then you got to still make sure that your life is running on what is called as the kick of fulfillment or the kick of meaning. If it's not there, you'll tired, you'll retire, you'll exhaust yourself. Your family will look at you being like a rundown wrestler, and you don't want to look stressed all the time. So that's work life synergy for me.
Okay, so just devote your time to everything equally and perfectly. Everything will work out for you, right?
Pretty much.
Right. Okay, so why is it crucial for an individual to devote their time to a helping vocation or profession?
See, it's that's your craft. Uh, if a dancer doesn't dances, then he's not doing justice to what he does. So that's your craft. If it's your profession, if whatever you're doing, you're not dedicated time to that, then your skills don't get better. Your competitive advantage doesn't get better. You don't immerse into a topic. So if I loved psychology, if I loved spirituality, if I loved acting, if I loved running, if I loved writing, I need to immerse into it. And the more I immerse, the more my muscle memory fires up, the more subconsciously rich I am with experiences. And that's how life is. If you are a beach bummer, and if you're not going deep in the ocean, then you don't know how the depth looks like. So a lot of people would pursue hobby, passions, and interests, but they would flirt. And that's the question one needs to ask. So do you really want to flirt with everything in life, or do you want to really go deep into love, madly committed to something? And that's how it should be. You need to ask yourself that, would you continue to flirt for the rest of your life? Sometime you will stabilize. Someday you want to commit to someone. That's exactly what profession is. That's the commitment you made to the profession. Now go deeper, dig deeper.
Okay, so commitment goes a long, long, long way.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so moving on. Along with the long vision of doing good for the society, how can social work contribute to and enhance personal growth of an individual?
Fantastic. See, it does come back to the feeling of gratitude. If if you if you do what you do for people with the feeling of gratitude, you sleep well. Now, or I can explain it in scientific terms, in hormonal terms, in the terms of biochemistry. But my best business case to people is that you'll sleep well. Large part of your life, you'll try and think that, okay, somebody got food because of me, somebody got medical treatment through me, or because of me, or through our efforts, where I could have been wasting my life over Netflix. But the fact is that I chose something else. I chose to be something else, and that's what matters. So yes, there's a feeling of gratitude. Number one, it brings a certain sort of discipline in your life. You can, just like we spoke about, you can start something because you like to do, because people appreciate, you get a social validation. But then there comes a point where you do something because it's supposed to be done. If I'm feeding people and I want to feed people with a group of volunteers, we are now doing it irrespective of how we feel. So if I have fever, I got COVID, whatsoever, if it's a responsibility, it's a sense of responsibility. And that's what a larger cause does to you. It makes you more responsible. It makes you more compassionate. It makes you more empathetic. It makes you more thankful about what you have. And it makes you more transparent. But those have been my key learnings at an emotional level. But it has furnished, or it has, It has given my business acumen a better shape. I've become more responsible in cost optimization because now you're negotiating for a larger good. Uh, it has given me the it has given me the space to build relationships with people which are based upon a noble interest, and those have been my personal takeaways. So, if I were to summarize, if you really immerse yourself into nobility, servitude, or seva, or whatsoever you might want to call it as, it changes you as a person completely. But keep a check on the ego, keep a check on the progress going up to your head. That's very important.
Given your experience, that must be new to many, many, many people, I believe. They should know.
Yeah. No, it's important because what will happen is that the more good you do, the more good happens to you, and the more good is given to you, and it goes up to your head. And then you start to feel that, okay, I'm the one doing. But some point of time, you have to realize that, and that's my personal belief, that when you have to do good thing and noble deed, you are the medium. And if there's a divine force whatsoever, not very religious, but there is someone who's governing all of us, it's your only chance to be in sync with the universe. It's your only chance to be in sync with the nature, and you got to honor that. That's how you honor with humility.
That's absolutely right. I totally agree with you. Okay, so moving on. How can someone become a very effective L&D business associate along with the ability to deliver business impact?
Sure. See, one needs to, yeah. I think the second part of the question is most important because you got to think business. To become an L&D associate, L&D professional, HR professional, it doesn't matter who you want to become, but at the end of the day, there is value at the table. You got to show people value, and value is defined by catering to business problems, uh, trickling down those business problems into skills, asking relevant questions to business and to ourselves. So, what is your value proposition which will act as a solution to an existing business problem? So, business acumen is very important. Specifically, I feel in L&D because you can't understand skills without understanding supply chain, revenue model, business acumen. That's number one. Number two, you got to also be involved into understanding how do actually people learn. When you have stress, when you have work-life balance issues, when you have multiple priorities, how do I make you learn? How do I trigger that motivation, inspire you to learn? So understand how the brain learns, how it processes information. Number three, look at what Netflix has done. It gives us a personalized experience. The user interface of any system process, if it's cumbersome, people will go for a toss. I mean, their attention span's not there. So A, yeah, there is a business acumen. B, you got to understand that how people like to learn. And the third part is systems and processes. For L&D, for capability development, all these three are absolutely important. And the first criticism which we sometimes face is business acumen. You need to talk business with people. You need to be able to get to a point where the business trusts you because they know that you know their business, and then you offer the advice. So those are my humble 2 cents.
Okay, so given the right business acumen, you invest yourself and you'll get everything you want. That was intriguing, I believe. Okay, so that was the last question we had. And this session, having you with us, with your experience, this session was great. Many, many young people will definitely find this one intriguing and very informative.
Thank you. I hope they like this.
Yeah, it was really fun and it was very nice having you.
Thank you. Thank you, Siddhi. Thank you for the opportunity.